Okay, welcome everybody to Wall Street Reporter's Discovery Day live stream, where we bring you those stocks which have that multi-bagger upside potential, companies going after massive market opportunities at a key inflection point and with multiple catalysts in place to create that upside. And we are back, of course, with Tom Drivas, the CEO of Appia Energy. Tom, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Jack. Nice to be back.
Tom, so I know you've been very busy the last couple of weeks. I think it's very important for any investor looking at the stock. You can see there has been a tremendous amount of news flow, and one of the things that we always say is that news flow, that's the pulse of the business. I mean, it's like if you want to see, when you come into a doctor, one of the first things they do is they check your blood pressure, they check your pulse, and all that. And news flow is the pulse of the business. It shows you, the pace of that news flow, the cadence and the quality of that news flow really kind of gives us an insight into the health and to the direction of the company, which I think is extremely important. And again, anybody looking at Appia Energy, anybody pulling up the stock on Yahoo Finance or wherever, they can see that you're making significant progress really on multiple fronts. There's a lot of momentum. From a technical perspective, it's very bullish. The stock recently broke out of the 50-day and the 50-week moving average, which is a very bullish signal. Again, there's on the chart, there's a pennant formation. I don't want to get into the chart stuff, but the charts are looking very bullish. But we're going to be talking about the fundamentals. So again, you're making progress on multiple fronts. You have, you got the rare earths projects in Brazil. You have the uranium projects in Canada, which you have a massive uranium resource, which now with these rising prices can actually become a significant asset. And today or yesterday, you announced this cobalt find in scandium at the PCH project in Brazil. So, in case anybody doesn't know, and again, I'm not an expert on scandium or cobalt. What is the significance of your recent find here?
Well, Jack, first of all, we're at Appia. We're quite busy. We have been really busy in Canada and in the Athabasca Basin, and lately we've been busy down in Brazil. So we have been drilling. I think we just crossed 300 drill holes in Brazil alone for the last few months, and and as you mentioned, we're exploring for critical materials like rare earths and uranium in Canada, rare earths in Canada and in Brazil. And this last announcement, we were actually surprised to see that adjacent to the target for the rare earth zone that we have down in at the PCH project in Brazil, we did some drilling there to expand that zone, and we came up with a entirely new zone. With for the first time, we intersected scandium, cobalt, and rare earths in the same drill hole. So, so this is a new zone in a different geology, adjacent to the high-grade target for rare earth zone, and we basically announced, and we wanted the shareholders to know that we've got some a new zone with scandium and cobalt. Now, scandium it's another critical material. It's sometimes included into the rare earths, and it's used as an alloy for aluminum. And when you have an alloy, a scandium alloy in aluminum, you get a very stronger aluminum, less corrosive, doesn't get the corrosive, and also it's weldable, and so it has some new aluminum has some new properties. Therefore, it is used in different technologies or in different areas, like high tech aerospace, for example. glass manufacturing, you name it, automotive. So
Wind
it
turbines,
area,
turbines.
yeah. And cobalt is another metal that is used in batteries for electric vehicles, for example. So both are critical materials, and both are in short supply. Scandium is mainly supplied from China, and there's no scandium deposits out there. There's basically this scandium is produced as a byproduct, is derived as a byproduct of or other mining operations. So we're quite excited to see that there's high grade scandium, good scandium numbers, and cobalt in clays and in saprolite, basically, so it looks like we've got another type of deposit down there, another type of mineralization, and we finished around 45 reverse circulation drill holes that will be announcing results from that. So it's an extensive area. So it could be a scenario where we have a scandium mineralized zone and a cobalt and also a rare earth zone, basically.
Okay, Tom, I want to pull up the press release which shows some of the drill, the drilling results, the assays, and maybe you can kind of walk us through this so that a lay person can understand the significance of the latest news. Okay, so what should we look at? Okay, so you want to kind of go through the highlights of.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So this on this hole here, on this drill hole, that we basically, which is drill hole 116, we intersected 24 meters from surface down to 24 meters, and we think that the mineralization continues beyond that. And we hit an average of 128 parts per million cobalt, and over the 24 meters, and also 272 parts per million. Scandium, 128 parts per million scandium, and 272 parts per million cobalt, and also 2,106 parts per million rare earth oxide. So, and we had within that there were some higher grade sections, like 133 parts per million cobalt and 359 scandium, and 353 parts per million cobalt, and 2,461 parts per million rare earth oxide. So we know there's some high grade scandium and cobalt and rare earths in that drill hole in that area. So again, we're excited. We think that the whole area has potential for scandium, cobalt, and rare earths. And we'll, in the next little while, we'll be announcing results from another 45 drill holes. And as we announced earlier, we are planning to, we're working on doing a NI 43-101 resource estimate on the rare earths, and now potentially on the scandium cobalt zone. So it's a very exciting times, Jack, for Appia. Got a lot of news that we will be announcing in the next little while.
Tom, how does, I think for somebody to understand this, how does this compare, these results, how does this compare, like, relative to like peer groups, sort of like, nearby projects or like similar projects, so people can kind of get an understanding, like, how significant it is that what you have? Because I think last time, you had some like incredible drilling results for the rare earths, which were like, really like off the charts, and that's kind of sent the stock moving. What are these numbers kind of showing here?
In terms of the adjacent projects, there is one project that is undergoing development, and I think they've announced that they will be producing either this month or next month. They're going to start production this month. That's the Sierra Verde project, and their average grade is 1,200 parts per million in terms of rare earths. We announced a high grade zone with 7,500, 400 parts per million rare earths on that one. Now, in terms of the scandium and the cobalt, I don't think there's anybody in the area that has a similar situation to compare. So we know that this is something new and something very exciting. So I think investors should stay tuned for some more drilling results and more information.
Okay. Okay, so what we're looking at here is, okay, so this is kind of the map here. This is the project, and this is the latest the drilling here, which is in this current news, right? This shows the no, this shows. Hang on, I can't zoom in here. Really, is this showing the scandium and the cobalt? This is where the scandium and cobalt.
We can't see. There's nothing on the screen, Jack. So I don't know if you can bring it back up.
Okay. Okay, hang on a second. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Okay.
Can you see it now?
Yes. This is a very large area. This is what we're saying. We've done about 45 reverse circulation drill holes and a number of auger holes, and those results are pending. So this is a large, very large area. It's a very extensive area. So once we receive all the information, I think that's sort of a new, we'll be giving more information out. And obviously, this is the first step. First step is to sort of establish a resource, a count of mineralization and grades and all this and tonnage. And the next stage would be to start doing metallurgy and see how we can recover, recover all this mineralization, the different mineralization, Jack. But again, very, very surprised and very excited to see that besides the rare earth zone, the target 4 area, there is a new zone in a different geology with different mineralization, scandium and cobalt and rare earths.
So you have, okay, so you got some, significant, progress, in Brazil. Anything new, with the uranium projects in Canada? Because I think that is becoming more and more interesting for investors, as, uranium is, the prices have been on the move, right? And we're really starting to see, like, for example, I noticed, like, on Twitter, uranium is actually trending. This is like, which has been, and that means people are really looking for uranium stocks. I think there's going to be money flowing into the junior uranium as people are looking for the next big play. So what's happening there? And just again, for anybody that's new to the program, can you kind of give us, just a quick, summary of some highlights of what you have in Canada?
Appia has a project in Ontario, in Elliot Lake, Ontario, with a large uranium and rare earth resource. We have a NI 4301 resource of roughly 55 million pounds of uranium in inferred and indicated categories, and also about 180 million pounds of rare earths in both categories, inferred and indicated. There's also, based on historical drilling, we know we can enlarge that resource, that we can go back and drill and enlarge that resource. So Appia has a resource that it's in Ontario next to infrastructure. The area is a mining area that produced over 300 million pounds of uranium, and subject to price, if the price goes uranium price goes higher and the rare earth prices, then this resource will be very valuable. In addition to that, Appia has 4 uranium projects in and around the Athabasca Basin in northern Saskatchewan, and those three of them are basically our target there is for high grade uranium near surface and near infrastructure. That's the Loringer other site and the North Wollaston and East site. And then we have another project, which is the other site, which is in the middle of the Athabasca Basin. It's a deep, very large geophysical target that indicates that there could be potential for large uranium prospect there. So Appia is very active on both of uranium and rare earths. And besides that, we have the Elliot Lake project in northern Saskatchewan, just north of there, next to Uranium City, where there is
Uranium
both
City.
earths and uranium. Yes, Uranium City is a town that was basically built on on production of uranium back in the 40s and 50s. There were 7-8 mines producing uranium out there. So we're within just 30 kilometers northeast of there. We've got a project called the Elliot Lake that it's a high grade rare earths and also uranium area. So Appia is both exploring and active in both critical materials, which is rare earths and uranium that is needed and will be needed more and for the transition to clean energy. The world is transitioning into clean energy, Jack, and so especially the Western world is looking for critical materials.
Yeah. Now here's the thing. It's important to know, like, where's uranium today? Where's spot uranium price today?
It's just over $80. I think was $82 or something like that. And this is
a new high. This is like this is the highest in
well, in the last couple of years, it went up from $20 or low 20s to $82, and there are projections for a lot higher because there's a shortage of uranium. Basically, there's an imbalance between supply and demand of uranium. As you know, uranium primarily is used for generating electricity, and the world is looking for clean energy, clean electricity, and uranium is one of the sources or one of the ways to produce clean energy. And in countries like China, for example, they're building a new 100 new reactors there, basically. So the world needs more. Definitely, the world will need more uranium, and therefore there's
yeah. Last time we had you on, I said that I think, my prediction is the uranium goes to $308 in the next few years.
Well, Jack, I'm not going to hold my breath about $300 uranium.
But I mean, I look at the charts. I mean, I'm not like, again, I really don't know anything about the fundamentals. I'm not like, I don't know anything about the fundamentals.
Just looking at the chart. Yes, I see.
I'm just looking at the charts. I'm pretty good at reading charts. And to me, this thing looks like really, it's, the all-time high was what, like 150, something like that?
142, 143. It was the all-time high, $142.
And usually, a lot of times when you have these kind of bull markets, what happens is the next wave is usually double what the previous one was. Like we saw that happen in Bitcoin, for example, where it went to like, was it 60,000? Was it 60,000? Some crazy number. And I think the same thing is going to happen with uranium. Now, what that really means is that if you have, let's call it, what is it, 50 million pounds, 80 million pounds? How many pounds do you have?
55 million pounds.
You have 55 million pounds at $300 a pound. That's what is it? That's 15.
Well, that makes it $15 billion, Jack. But anyway, what
now we're not saying it's going to cost it's not. In other words, to extract it is, but it's a multi-billion-dollar opportunity if it goes that, if the price goes that high. But even if it doesn't, even if it only goes again into the, I think if uranium goes into the, let's say, into the 100s, it has to crack the 100 number. Once uranium cracks that 100 number, then all these kind of lower grade projects, which is kind of what you have, all of a sudden they become extremely valuable because of that leverage. So, that's what I see as the upside potential for the stock. Is this is really, it's a it's a call option on uranium. It's a call option on uranium.
Yeah, it's definitely a call option on uranium, and
No expiration date. No expiration date here.
Yeah, we'll be very happy to see uranium prices over $100. I mean, I don't know where they're going to go, or there's no way to foretell the future, but certainly the indications and the projections and forecast is uranium prices will go a lot higher from here, because there's an imbalance of supply demand, and there's more reactors coming into play. In addition to that, the price of uranium does not really affect that much the cost of electricity. Like it's basically 1 or 2-3% of the cost of a reactor. So even if uranium prices double, still we're going to get consumers will get reasonable prices of electricity. It's not the biggest factor in their costs. And
what's interesting is this, Tom, is we talked about this last time. Like, they have to go to uranium because of, again, it's this is a pure play on the technology boom, because on one side you have we're switching over to EVs, right? And to get that electricity into if you're going to have this mass adoption of electric vehicles, there's going to be the demand for electricity is going to go off the charts. It's going to be like, even now, like electricity prices are going through the roof. Where I am, prices are up 30%. It's going through the roof, and there's you can't they're going to have to really go to nuclear, and of course, it's not just the EVs. I'm just talking about a couple of applications right now, which are but these things at the margin is what creates the demand, right? So you got the EV thing that's on the plate. You have, for example, all the Bitcoin people out there, all the crypto people. How do you think you create that crypto mine? It's all done through massive use of electricity, right? So if you're going to have crypto, you're going to need massive amounts of electricity, and that's a tiny thing. But then also you have AI for artificial intelligence. You need these massive server farms, right? Which Google has, which Microsoft has. Cloud computing. You're gonna have this massive off the charts demand for cloud computing, and those guys use, I don't know how much they use, like crazy amounts of electricity. They can't. I mean, their whole basis for finding a place where to locate one of these cloud computing centers is, they put them into where there's cheap electricity. And they're going to have to go, I would not be surprised if Google, this is a crazy prediction, I would not be surprised if Google starts building nuclear plants.
Well, I don't know about that. It could be, but there's no doubt in my mind that anything that has to do with technology needs electricity. I mean, we need electricity for everything. We need electricity for cars. We need electricity for computers, for telephones. We need watches now. Everybody has sort of, this new watches now that they don't work, nothing else but electricity. And everything we do, high tech, any high tech or AI or anything that we do, like in terms of high tech from here on, we need more electricity. And the key is with this climate changes, the weather changes and all this, the world needs to go into clean energy. So we need to find clean ways to generate electricity. And wind and solar is actually one way of doing it, but it's it's not as reliable.
It's a marginal. It's just for show.
Marginal. So we definitely need more electricity generated by
Yeah.
nuclear energy.
You know, Tom, I was talking about the Google for a second. And for anybody that does know, so Google, they have a ton of cash. I don't know if they have 100 billion. They have massive amounts of cash, right? And one of the things they've done is they've always been like active in building out infrastructure. I think they laid like a transatlantic cable for data. So it's not just, it's not just like a technology company. They actually do infrastructure projects, to support a lot of these things. Now, what you have is you have this new technology. Maybe Tom, you can explain how this works. But you have these, you have these kind of like mini nuclear plants.
Small nuclear reactor. It's small nuclear reactors, and it would make that's the trend, and that's feasible. If you're building a mine somewhere, in the north or in an area, so rather than burn oil, you can probably have a nuclear reactor, a small nuclear portable reactor. The same thing with maybe companies like Google. If they need lots of electricity, they might have their own reactors. So now it's the world is going that way. So that's another area where we're going to need more nuclear, more uranium, more nuclear materials.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Again, electricity is the biggest cost. Again, AI. Like we're in the not even in the first inning of AI, and there's going to be so many different applications in the next couple of years. So the demand for these for cloud computing, it's going to go bananas, and the electricity that's their biggest cost. So I can easily see how Google and Microsoft, whatever, they build these mini plants, wherever they are, right? And again, and these guys have a lot of money, so that's and they could lobby. People are saying, oh, nuclear, what there's always historically there's been kind of this anti-nuclear thing, but these guys, you got to kind of follow the money, right? So these guys have a lot of money, right? It's trillions of dollars, and they're tech people, right? So it's that whole Silicon Valley political system, and if they say nuclear is good, we're going to see nuclear. We're going to see those plants popping up everywhere. They might be building the mini nuclear plants in what do you call it? Where's Google located? I think they're in San Mateo, where they're going to be all. I would not be surprised if they have a mini nuke plant like right by the maybe where Alcatraz is. They could put up a nuke plant, and because the place is empty. It's owned by the federal government. Right? They could put a server farm there. They have but I'm making a joke, but there's many demand drivers. Also, you have India. We didn't even talk about India, right? You have 1.5 billion people, right? We know China is moving to, they're building these mini nuke plants, right? India is next.
Anyway, Jack, there's no doubt that there's going to be a lot of demand for energy, for power, electric power, and one way to get it is it's nuclear, clean, and there's a lot more applications that for small nuclear reactors. Like there's communities up north, for example, that right now they're relying on burning oil for generating electricity. Small Aboriginal communities or
You're talking about in Canada.
For example, in Canada or in other areas of the world, right? I mean, in Canada, we have First Nations communities up north here, and there's no roads, and usually these communities rely on winter roads, ice roads to transport oil there to generate electricity for the rest of the year, right? So it's very costly. You got to build the ice roads, you got to transport the oil up there, and then you got to burn it, and it's not environmentally friendly. So there's many applications for generating electricity with small nuclear reactors. The biggest cost for generating electricity, nuclear, through a nuclear power plant, is the cost of building the power plant. It costs a few $1 billion, and it takes forever to get permits and all this.
But not the mini ones. The mini ones,
But
how much?
not the mini ones. The mini ones actually being tested right now in Canada, in Ontario, in Canada, and I'm sure in other places. So I think that's a new market that will generate more demand for uranium. So, as I mentioned, China are basically talking about building 100 nuclear stations, reactors right now. So new ones.
I'm curious, Tom. I'm asking. This is just your opinion. Just what would it take? What would it take for uranium? With the bull case here, what would it take for uranium to, let's say, go to break 200? What would need to happen? Can like Kazakhstan? Can these guys just say, "Hey, that's the new price," or what needs to happen?
Well, Jack, the best way is supply demand. That's my opinion. My opinion is if the demand is much higher, steadily much higher, the price it's going to move higher, and it takes a long time to build a uranium mine, or will take years to adjust the supply. Basically, it could happen some event like last time the price went up. It was Cigar Lake, had some issues in Canada, the water issues in the product in their mine. So that was out of commission for a few years, and that took a lot of supply out, right? So, but I think
multiple ways, multiple paths for the price.
The multiple ways, and it could be also a political decision. But a lot of the uranium comes out from Kazakhstan, for example, right? So it could be a situation over there that could change the supply factor. But what we're talking is that there's going to be more demand, and the supply is limited, and it's going to take time to build.
The demand, I think, the demand, we can predict the demand side, the supply side. What's going to happen in terms of, are they going to raise? We don't know. That's like, but if China starts, they're rolling out these mini nuke plants. India is going to have to do it because they have a massive population that's moving into the middle class. They need electricity. All over the world there's a need for electricity because everybody, it's just like it used to be that as soon as people went into the middle class, they ate better, right? So the demand for like meat or things, they started eating better, right? So all of a sudden those things go. Now the people, as they move into the middle class, and whether it's India, whether it's in Africa, wherever it is, they're using more electricity, right? Everybody has an iPhone, right? And that's a little bit of electricity. Once they use more and more, those things all, at the margins, that's the thing that drives demand for electricity. And there's no question that, again, with electric vehicles, with electronic devices, with AI, with cryptocurrency, needing to use, there's all these things are converging into like a perfect storm. And, that's why I believe, we only need something to go slightly off balance, and then we have this $308 uranium price.
Again, the trend is higher, much higher. The question is where and how it's going to get there. We don't know, but we know that it's going to get there because of demand and supply issues. Now, and it's really hard to predict where it's going to end up. But as I said, in the last couple of years, the price went from $20 a pound to over $80 a pound. Historically, it went up to $142 a pound. The demand is there. The demand is increasing. Like as you mentioned, all this, the third world countries or different, developing countries are coming into the demand for more demand for electricity. That they need. If you build a house, you move into a new house, you have a fridge. You have you have some
washing machines, appliances,
dryers, and
charger for your Tesla, right?
Yeah, you have TV now and computers and this. So and not to mention electric bikes coming up, and other applications that
Yeah.
numerous applications. So
Yeah, and again,
so
all the kids these days that used to be like when I was growing up, we had to like actually use your feet to pedal a bike or anything. Now all these kids, they're all riding like these electric scooters or these what do you call it, the skateboards, electric skateboards. Nobody does. I mean, everybody's relying on electricity, so it's like. And again, all these things, it's like a joke. It sounds like a joke, but it all adds up. It's these incremental changes is what creates these mega shifts at the end of the day. So anyway, on that note, Tom, thank you for the update. And what else can we expect to see from Appia in the coming weeks? We're coming into the end of the year. Are you expecting more news? Any other developments before we go into the new year?
yes, we do expect a lot of news coming up still. From Brazil. More drilling results. We're working on a 43-101 report, a resource report estimate there. We're expecting results from the Elliot Lake project. So there's a lot of news still pending, and it'll be coming up in the next little while. So I think the investors can look for more news, and we're very optimistic for the company and the prospects of for the new year. In the meantime, I want to take the opportunity to wish everybody, in case we don't see them before, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and best of season. And I think it's going to be I think we're coming up to an interesting year. So,
Tom, thank you very much, and we'll catch up with you soon.
thank you, Jack. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody. See you in the next one.
Bye.